This is all that is. Like, this is the one. And then you do that, and then you do that, and then you do that, and you continue and continue and continue. Now it looks like it's many of them, but it is still the same paper. Do I have 30 papers or do I still have one?
Is it possible to believe in yourself 24/7 for your entire life? And I think the answer is yes.
A long time no see.
Hi.
Hi.
Here we go.
How have you been doing the whole time? I've seen some of your videos. They were very cool and you're asking many questions again.
I'm taking my voice of intuition and giving it a voice and being unafraid to say to others.
How does it feel for you to listen to your intuition? Or what does your intuition feel like? What would you recommend to others, how they can listen to it?
My intuition feels like I know exactly what step to take, exactly what words to say at exactly what time, exactly how to breathe. Everything feels natural, completely and entirely. And there are bits and pieces of unnaturalness that still pops up. But it's just important to remember that that's just the naturalism in disguise.
Wow.
Disguised as unnaturalism. So I guess my best advice is to slow down.
Yes, that's the same advice that I'm giving, because I've realized that when we slow down, we actually really speed up. The things that are more aligned with what you are speeding up because you slow down and you allow yourself to just be and express the being that you are and not the being that you pretend to be.
That's a great way of putting it.
If you know that, and you find yourself in situations when you get stressed and wrapped up in your thoughts again, then you know your way out. And I think if it is enough to just know it and to just practice it and to practice it more and more often, because this is how you practice to express yourself authentically more and more often. And it feels better. So of course you can also choose to be stressed and to do what others expect from you and to not slow down, but to speed up all the time. But if that's not what you choose because you prefer your personal truth, then you can just remind yourself of that.
Wow.
I loved the question when you wrote to me this morning. You said, "Are you melting?" And first I thought, is this an English saying that I don't know yet? And I was even looking it up on Google. I thought, what does it mean? What made you think that?
It was a moment of spontaneity. So I was just like, you know what? That word is popping in my head right now, so I'm going to type it and send it.
I totally understand what you mean, because it catched me. Because when I understood that it's not a saying, but you actually mean what you say, it was so interesting, because I thought, wait a second, I really know this feeling. I totally know it. It is when you experience complete oneness, I think. When you say, do you melt with everything else? It is when you understand that the only separation there is the one that you see with your physical senses. But in fact, there is no separation because we are all one being in different expressions. So sometimes it can totally feel like oneness if you're open to it.
Interesting. Can you explain to me how we're all one?
If I cut my hand, so right now in front of the cam, it would hurt, and your first reaction would be, ouch. So you would feel this pain, and it would be a different sensation. You would probably not feel directly how the sensation feels on my hand, but you would feel uncomfortable. So you would feel compassion. So this actually shows that there is an extreme connection between us. You would have it with a random stranger or an animal as well. So compassion is one sign. Then we have, let's say, when we predict the future. So there are people that can see, or probably even all of us, that are open to see what could probably happen next. And I think it is not because we see something external from us stepping towards us. It is because we are also this thing happening. I think because we are it. just another version of it. So we are just aligning with it. And it's like we are also this thing happening, and that's why we can see it, because we are not just connected to it, it is because we are it. So we have access to it because we are it. And the same like with feeling the feelings of others. Yeah. And I think also the strong connection to other beings. It's not just people, I mean humans, it's also animals and plants. So I can totally feel their energy and feel their moods, and I don't need words, and I don't need even my eyes sometimes. So I think it's because I realized that I'm not my senses. Dom asked me one question once. He asked if you could keep only one of your five senses, which one would it be? And I was dealing so much with this question recently. So I was asking all my podcast guests, I was asking myself, I changed my mind 5 times, and I've realized that I'm not my senses, and that all my senses kind of lie to me. So they distract me from what is real. And only because I rely on my senses, I think that there is a separation between you and me. And that's beautiful. I don't want to say that that's something bad. I think it's something super beautiful, because this makes me unique, although I'm not, because we are all one thing. But it gives me a layer of uniqueness. And I think that's cool, because it's not boring, experience wouldn't make sense if it was all one. That's why I also believe that life and death is an illusion. It is what we see, because I saw this grandma, now I don't see her anymore, so I think she's dead. But when you look up the definition of life, then there is none. If you look up the definition of death, then there is no proper one. It's just that everything changed its form. And also the fact that people can talk to people who passed away. Are they all crazy or what? No, it is super possible, because it is all one thing.
I've come completely to terms with death. And what I mean by that is I won't ever be able to fly as long as I have even an inkling of fear that me jumping out the building will splat me on the ground dead.
I feel constantly limited, because I understand that this body, the senses, they are limiting me in experiencing what I would call more. But I also understand that this is only one perspective on it, because on the other hand, it is a very giving experience. So you can learn a lot, and there is a lot to it, a lot of pain, a lot of love, everything. And I think the art in that case, for me at least, is not to tell myself that everything would be so much easier if I was in a different form, if I wasn't alive. But I think the art is to be so fucking grateful for this experience, because the only thing that makes it limiting and painful is our definition of pain and limitation. So at the end of the day, the art is to learn to do as much as we can with what we have, because we have it, and it's powerful and it's beautiful. And there is a beauty to limitations and your unique expression.
If you could pick it out and know when to go into a quiet spot and meditate, which I feel is the point of meditation, is to take a break from this loud world. If we were living slower lives in nature with less stressed and fast talking, I don't think we would need meditation. I think meditation is a symptom of the world we live in. And I think our entire lives would be a plane of meditation that we could just sit on and bounce up and down off of it. But we wouldn't be required to go out of our way to meditate, because our entire lives would be meditation. And it's like it's the same thing with everything else. Like, I don't know what I'm still doing living in an apartment. I know what I'm still doing in an apartment. Mm-hmm. It's I listen to all of the narratives, which is good and bad. Because if I hadn't, I would have gone out there into the wilderness with a hurt foot and probably died. Which I don't know if it's a good or bad thing or not. So, and I also don't know if, like, that's the other thing, is your life being at risk is one of the only things that can make a person make radical change in their lives. Like their life actually being at risk is, I feel like, the ultimate motivator. And so without that, you might stay stuck and you might not ever live, even though you didn't die prematurely. So in a way, your life being at risk is one of the most healthy things you could do.
I'm not sure about
which
that
is the
point.
beauty of nature and living out there with threats that don't include being fired and just all of these minuscule things. It's not that they don't matter. It's that I can't say it any other way. It's not meant to matter to us, but we have no other way to survive except for ourselves to make it matter to us.
Yeah, I get your point. Now I get it, because I think that it's a replacement. So I think us feeling our life threatened in a situation when a tiger comes and wants to eat us, the brain works in the same way when we get fired, or when we have a fear of judgment or whatever, which is a more psychological thing. So when people are judging me, of course, my life is not directly threatened as it would be when I'm facing a tiger. But I think it's our brain is replacing it. And this is why we are so stressed in situations that are not life-threatening. Our mind is wired to protect us from danger. So since we live in societies where danger on an extreme level is simply not there anymore, it takes other things and replaces them. I don't think that we need this fear in order to develop or in order to not get stuck. We don't need it in our society with our way of living, and we don't prefer that, obviously. What we prefer is calmness and love. So I would say let's go in that direction, because this is, again, intuition.
That's so true. It's so true. You're right. It's pretty much the only thing you have to overcome is stress. And then everything else will fall into place after that. And that's when your intuition will kick in and tell you exactly what step to take. And although the end goal isn't really that clear from what I can tell, it's not about the end goal. It's about what's going on now, which I know can be hard to comprehend at times, especially when you're trying to be present. And I don't know, it just baffles me how many different ways even what I'm saying right now in this moment could be heard and interpreted, especially even by my future self as well. Like we can watch the same movie that we watched as a kid and understand it differently, or we watched it last week and understand it differently. Like, it's something that grandiose can change in our minds so easily.
You're a different person.
Can't reality change as easily too?
I think so. Yes. I think, well, reality also, there is no definition for reality. Again, so another word that I looked up, and I wasn't really happy with what I found, because it was actually nothing. Reality seems to be a sum of the things that we experience. And if so, then it's changing the whole time, because our experience changed the whole time. And I think we see what we think to be true. This is our reality. If you and I, we experience the same interview right now, or we could also experience the same day sitting next to each other locked in a bus, so just next to each other, and still we would experience and focus on completely different things. Probably you would look outside and see something there, and I would watch some people or listening to music or reading a book. And at the end of the day, while having the same surrounding and the same basis for this day, we would have a completely different experience. It couldn't be more different, no matter if the setting seems to be similar. Your reality and my reality would be super different, although we are sitting next to each other in the same bus. So what's reality then? It's the same reality fundamentally, is the funny thing. And that's the recognition of unity. When people say you are everything, I don't think it's meant in a literal or figurative sense. How could I say I am everything figuratively?
How could I explain how I am everything is figurative? Let me ask you that.
It is difficult to see beyond your own perception. But I see perception, or I see what I feel with my senses. So what I can touch, what I can see, what I can smell, what I can hear. I understand that this is a layer. This is not reality. This is experience. So what I feel, what I touch, what I sense is experience. It's not reality. Reality for me would be something outside of the layer. So outside of the layer, it is all one. And within the layer, it looks like everything's different, of course, because there we have all these little things, like this pen or that, like all the different things, because I can touch them. I just saw Andrew from Dualistic Unity once showing this. He took a paper and he said, this is all that is. Like, this is the one. And then you do that, and then you do that, and then you do that, and you continue and continue and continue. Now it looks like it's many of them, but it is still the same paper. Do I have 30 papers, or do I still have one? I have one, but I experience them as 30. I think that's the easiest way of showing it right now. What I see when I talk about experience, like, to me, everything I see is a layer. It's like a projection. What's really going on here is like one single everything. It's one piece. It's only one thing.
Yeah.
And it is in the back. So I cannot explain it by looking at you being separate from me, because it is like the experience would negate itself, would say it's not there. But it is, of course, it is there. But I'm just an experience, or Anna is nothing more than an experience.
How do you know you're beyond your senses if all you've ever felt were your senses?
We experience a small amount of colors. A butterfly would see way more colors than we do, because it's useful for their experience. Same with other animals. I think dogs see less colors than we do. There are people that can taste colors, which we think, how is this even possible? Is there something weirdly wired there? But it is just a different kind of experience, which is also true. So if every experience is true, there is no right or wrong. You cannot say I'm the only one who sees it right.
I mean, I can.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, technically you can, but why would you? Because it is I mean, many people do that, right? This is why so many people fight over things.
Why do they fight over things?
Because they think that their own experience and their own perception of things is the only one that is right, and the other person cannot be right, because what the other person thinks, feels, or experiences contradicts their own perception of reality.
Is your perspective that they are thinking their perspective is right in itself? Are you right by saying they think they're right?
I don't know who is right. Well, I was just thinking of the bus again. So we are sitting in the bus and you looked outside. I read a book and you watched interesting people outside. And we get out of the bus and you tell me, wow, this was such a wonderful day. I listened to music and all these cool people outside. And I would say you are crazy. It's not true what you experienced. There were no people just because I read a book that was bad. So this is what it feels like to me when people argue over being right or wrong. So at the end of the day, both are kind of right, because I was right because, my experience was shitty. Of course, I was right. My book was bad, but you have also been right.
That's the beauty of the I don't know and that's the beauty of the concept of God. Whether, because I don't know if God is a real thing or not, but I can use the idea of God as a point of meditation to bounce my perspective off of and understand, where I was going with that. Just like the imagining that there is something all-knowing, but not just imagining, like deeply considering that there might actually be something that knows all, gives you a sounding board almost for your mind. But it's still your mind. And so it's still your mind, but when you have something that is repeated your entire life, like God, over and over and over again, and you don't have any like intruding perspectives that make you doubt if God is real or not, which is how I believe we have ended up where me and you are, or where anyone else is who isn't going to church every Sunday and reading a Bible every day or whatnot, praying hardcore. And it's funny because I mean people will say, oh, that's ridiculous. You don't need to be hardcore. You don't need to do all that stuff. But it's like you could have one person who is reading the Bible every day and going to church every Sunday and praying every night, who gets it, and one who's doing all of those same things and doesn't. And it's based on what they've experienced throughout their life. But that's the thing, is my perspective is just as flawed, because what I define as getting it is biased, because I want to feel like I get it. And so any idea I can cling on to, including this one that I'm saying right now, in order to feel like I can get it, I will. And I will bring others into it as well. Because if I bring others into it, then it makes me feel more comfortable, because I don't feel as alone in my
in your belief.
In my belief. And so that's what creates a religion, is confirmation bias, and just everyone saying the same thing. And of course it would work. Of course God would become the sounding board. And of course people would break off and make more religions and more religions and more religions, and then some people would just be like, I'm not going to be religious because that's a religion in itself. And whether it's actually a religion in itself or not is besides the point. Considering it as another religion helps you to see it as a more of a whole. And that can allow you to take a step back from it more easily. Religion is a trigger word. It's something that almost blockades people's minds, and so you have to be careful with your word choice. You can't account for every single person who's going to misinterpret what you're going to say. Everyone's misinterpreting it, even you. So why would you even fret about it?
Yeah, we can only misinterpret because we always look from our own perspective on the thing. So I guess if we are very empathic, or we are not blocking our own empathy, then we most likely understand better what the other person's trying to say, because we feel the words and we see the image that the other person sees at the same time. But still, there's also something that we project on this person always. I think it's the same thing with religion itself. I don't believe it is a necessarily bad thing. I think it is, we don't need it. So we kind of make ourselves believe that we need it, but it is simply a tool to believe in a power and to believe that magic is possible by using an external thing to make magic happen. But we do it with our belief that we make magic happen, that we manifest things, and that we create our lives. So of course I can believe that if I carry this pen everywhere I go, only good things will happen to me. And I can believe it so deeply that it will actually happen. But I can also just put the pen aside and I can just believe that that everything will always benefit me, and that I'm the magical thing, that the magic is not in the pen, but it's within me. And I can believe this so deeply that I will manifest whatever I consciously want. So if religion is this pen, then yes, it is useful, because if you don't believe in your own power, at least you believe in a power, and you believe that you can pray to make things happen in your life, but you don't really need it, and you can misuse it. And many people start being afraid of punishment, or that they behave in a bad way and a big magical man will punish them for their behavior, which is false. Or my whole experience tells me that this is false, because as I said, I believe that we are all one being, one singularity, and that all of us, we are God. So I'm not punishing myself for doing whatever Anna believes is wrong. It doesn't make any sense. I can just make myself believe so deeply that I need to be punished, that somehow it will happen, and that I will experience a thing that I'm not preferring, because I convince myself in my subconscious mind that things need to go super shitty right now, or I don't deserve being happy, or whatever people convince themselves into. But we make magic happen ourselves. It is our belief that makes it happen, and not the pen and not religion. But if we believe that we need it, well, then use it. Why not?
We can't believe in ourselves sometimes. And so we have to believe in something else and then come back to believing in ourselves when we're ready to believe in ourselves again. Is it possible to believe in yourself 24/7 for your entire life? And I think the answer is yes.
I also believe it is totally possible to believe in yourself 24/7 if you decide to do that. If you decide, and also subconsciously, at some point, that the other belief doesn't lead you to where you want to go, then you can just decide to believe in yourself, and you just do it, because who else would do that? Or, I mean, if you even have tiny moments of believing in yourself, then you know what it feels like, and then you can apply it to all the moments in your life.
It's like you have little blippets of believing in yourself. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's like, that's why they say it takes years. And it's important not to get too hung up on the concept of it taking years.
Yeah.
But like, it feels like you first start with the initial breakthrough and what you could call like the base of the existential crisis. And then you have this little blippet of believing in yourself. And that gets you hooked because you've never felt it in your freaking life. I don't know if I've reached that yet, although the person I just was 5 seconds ago was completely confident that he believed in himself. But I can switch back to it. It's as fucking easy as that. And it's that fucking easy. It's that easy. It's just the switch back and forth. It's literally taking a fucking step. And all it really is emotional control. All it really is emotional control. But emotional control is never what you think it is, and that's the problem. Is there is no problem. So
yeah, I think it's interesting to point that out, because I really think that many people believe emotional control is not getting involved with your feelings and is blocking your negative emotions.
Yeah.
It's like playing a role. This is not emotional control. This is emotional suppression. This is not what we want.
Gosh, yes, it's so easy to confuse emotional control with emotional suppression. That is beautiful, Anna. Wow, that's what creates a villain.
Yes.
It's confusing emotional control with emotional suppression to the point that you become the Joker. You ever watched the Batman, The Dark Knight?
Yeah.
He's a villain that just fakes all of his emotions, from what I can tell, at least. And he laughs, and it seems very real. But the thing about it is that the laughter, while expressed in different forms, never reaches the eyes. And the eyes are the true.
Yeah.
They are what truly determine if someone's actually feeling an emotion or not, in my experience, at least.
I loved so much what you said in the beginning. I wrote it down. Intuition is when everything feels natural. I really love that one. And I wanted to ask you something, because I have my Insanity channel on Instagram, and I thought about when I really like what one of my guests says, or when it's really inspiring, I wanted to put it in a quote and to post it there with your name, of course.
To even ask, but that's so polite of you either way. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I think there are sometimes messages that are so gold, and not everyone always watched the whole video, So I thought maybe let's take some quotes sometimes.
What's the point of social media? I don't understand. What are we doing?
We wouldn't know each other without it. So I'm really grateful for it, that it's there, because
yes, this is true.
I've learned so much. Like, for me, it's a learning.
Yeah.
Like, all of them are learning platforms.
I was in my demonized social media mood.
Yeah, it's always possible to get stuck in it, or to just use it for validation, or to distract yourself, let's say, to not do the things you want to do. But it's like with everything. You can give us the most healthiest thing, or like, can give me an apple, or you can give me apples, and if I eat 50 of them a day, then it's also an addiction and also not healthy anymore. So
yeah, it's distracting us from things we don't really want to do. It's also what we want to do, right? behind all the ideas of what we want to do. What we're doing right now is what we want to do because it couldn't be in any other way, right? So we're expressing our desire to philosophize what desire and want is. And that's what we want to do in itself.
That's the thing. The mind cannot really understand itself because it's wired to look outside. So it's really difficult to say, I want to understand wanting. Of course, it sounds weird. There's a meme. I love it so much. It just says, me and the boys thinking about thinking. Yeah, it's literally it.
The things that were drilled into our minds as children, I don't know about your country or your upbringing, but honesty and respect. Those were the two big ones. And I feel like I've always overlooked them. But I was sitting in my room the other day with the window open because there's no AC, right? And this is a perfect example of like me recognizing the value of respect. And I'm just sitting there like with smoke coming into the window because there's no law to stand 25 feet away from the building when you're smoking here where I'm at. And people just smoke right next to the building every single day when I'm trying to sleep. And I'm just trying to figure out some way to get these people to stop smoking. Oh yeah, go tell the freaking apartment manager. Go do this or that. Go face them with my fists or something, or it's just something that, or trick them, throw away their cigarettes. And then I ask I tell ChatGPT, how can I stop these people from smoking outside my window? And you know the first thing it says? Ask them politely with respect to stop. And I was like, wow. That is the best thing I can do to manipulate them into doing what I want. That is the best thing I can do. See, it's like I have this villain complex that I want to fulfill, and I'm so focused on fulfilling it by breaking rules that I don't even recognize the value of being a hero and just showing respect to others. Because while it may seem selfless to show respect, in fact, you actually can get more of what you want in this world by showing respect and being honest. And I guess to wrap it together of how honesty can be used to your advantage, it's just easier to think and talk because you can just say the words that are actually being thought in your head and not make up things. And it all flows out as exactly what I'm saying right now and exactly the way I'm saying it. And then I don't even have to worry at all because it's just all here speaking as me now. I was trying to explain honesty and I actually said what was actually on my mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's saying your thoughts as they're coming through your head and using the power of social filter, but not in a bad way. Like people conflate it with like, oh yeah, you have to not say certain things, you have to not cuss and all this stuff. But if you don't stress about not cussing, if you don't stress about that, if you just shift your focus to what you know to know what's right to say in a certain environment you're in, you will say what you know to say.
I think there is a little trap in there because I think our thoughts, that they sometimes lie. And that's the point. So when you speak your false thoughts, for example, then you are also not speaking the truth. And it's simply because some thoughts are programs and are fears.
Bingo.
Yeah. And for that, I think like my definition of honesty would be a little bit more strict. My definition would be when you speak your truth. For that, you have to recognize if you think your truth.
That's what I mean. There we go. Wrapped it together nicely. What was the quote that I made? Intuition what?
Intuition is when everything feels natural, which is your truth.
Sure. Exactly. Everything feels natural.
And for that, sometimes we have to slow down to figure out what does feel natural.
There it is.
And
there it is.
There it is. And also I thought, well,
I reached it. I've reached nirvana.
You've reached nirvana. You never left.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I've never left. Yeah, you're right. It is, but it's also, yeah, you have to actively recognize which of your thoughts aren't honest. But at the same time, the recognition or the idea that all of your thoughts could be honest can help you propel yourself towards actually being honest and intuitious, if that's a word.
That's why I believe that breaking the rules and being respectful doesn't contradict itself. Because what is respect? I mean, Leo Tolstoy is a Russian poet and writer, and he said, respect just covers the empty place where love should be. And I would translate it more into that respect is just a translation of love. So where there is love, there is automatically respect. Like respect is just our expression of love and compassion for other people. So I think that breaking the rules and expressing your love for others actually even can go hand in hand if you are not breaking the rules for the sake of breaking them, but to find your truth within them because you're doing it for yourself and for other people, and being kind and loving and breaking what we believe to be rules like constructs from society to uncover them and just check if they are false or true, if they feel natural and like the truth, or if they feel false and they're holding us back, can be an expression of love as well. So there is no contradiction at all, I think. Speaking your truth can be breaking the rules.
I have a question for you because I've had some German friends in my life, and I've just been more aware of like people's features and stuff just as I get more out of the way of myself with all this philosophy stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw one of my friends in your eyes just there. Just your eyes like looked very German. I'm wondering what ethnicity you would guess I am.
No clue, and I'm super bad at guessing, so you have to tell me. I'm not even German, so, but you.
I don't know. I don't know what I have, but I have been guessed German a lot of my life, so we could assume that's one of them, right? What else would you say there is besides German? Like which are the biggest ones at least?
German and Scandinavian, things
Got
like
it.
Denmark and Norway. I'm from Ukraine, so I moved to Germany when I was 3 years old. So I don't really have German origins.
Really? I guess it was an optical illusion because you said you lived in Germany, and so I saw my German friend in you
Probably. Oh,
by bias of my own brain.
or probably he's also originally from Ukraine.
It's funny how that works. Do a lot of people move from Ukraine to Germany?
Just during the last 1-2 years because of the war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So there were many refugees, and I think they moved to different countries, not just Germany, but Germany was very welcoming, so they also came here. And in general, the time when I moved here or my family came here, it was not a big thing. But I'm not a Germany fan, actually, so I don't know. I'm pretty much sure I will not live here forever, so for now.
How come?
I miss wild water. That's the first point, because I really need the ocean. And yeah, we have something like the ocean, but it's very cold there, and I think I would prefer to have like a warm water season experience. Also, could be something like Spain maybe, and in general more nature. So I want more nature. It is okay. So you can even go to the forest. There are things that you can do, but it's not completely where I feel myself. I need to be more at the ocean, more on the beach. And also, it feels like people are too stressed. I would prefer to have like a little bit more airy-fairy people around sometimes, because then I can be relaxed myself as well.
Yeah. Where is this place?
Hawaii, probably. I don't know. It could be something like a tropical island. It could be a lonely island. I don't even mind. It can be something like Hawaii. It can be Spain, when they're like a Spanish island, probably. Or I've never been there, but I thought about Canada. Because what I see on pictures, like the forests and the lakes and everything, it looks so beautiful that I want to cry. So I thought maybe it could be something like that.
If you come to Canada, you'll probably want to go to British Columbia specifically. Because I mean, like me personally, I prefer the Pacific, like like, so you got Washington State, you know where Washington State is, right?
Yeah.
And then you have British Columbia above that, and then you have Alaska. That corner of the world is just, I want to see it all.
Oh,
Like it's what you can do is there's a lot of mountains right next to the coast. So if you ever want to, I mean, it's not going to be like the warmest water in the world, but at least you'll have the ocean. And what the ocean obviously does is temperature regulates land that's pretty close to it. And so what you can do is you can just travel along the coast, live out of the backpack,
oh,
and
that
just like
sounds like
hunt
a
and
dream.
gather and
Yes.
whatnot. And
Yeah. That
so then,
sounds
what are
like
you
a
waiting
dream.
for? What are you waiting for? Come, I'll
I
help
have
you out.
I
Let's
have
make it
so
happen.
I have so many lives. That's so crazy for me, really. Because I have the life that I have right now, I also like it. So not Germany, really. I really
You have
don't
so
like
many
that.
lives.
Yeah, different Annas. They're coexisting next to each other. So there is this Anna that really wants to grab her
Oh
backpack and
yeah.
go. I really feel that. There is the other Anna, and I just started a new job that I really love. And this is actually a job that I wanted to have for my whole life. I wanted to have this specific job, this position, and this task. And I just got it. I just got it. And I want to work in it at
Oh
least for
yeah.
a while.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is is it a is it a remote position?
Yeah.
Oh, well, perfect. It's a remote position. There you go.
Yes, but not in the first 6 months. So still I'm pretty new in the job. And I think still I will have to be living in Germany when I want to work for that office, for that specific office. But we will see anyways, because this is a worldwide company. This week I was actually working with Canada. So I was working with our Canadian office. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I will let you go, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
nice talking.
It was amazing. I'm so happy we did that so spontaneously. We do that again.
Yeah, that was fun. It was good talking, Anna.
Yes, it was great. Thank you very much and have a good night. Bye bye.